All right, it's 10 o'clock. Katie Jo, you want to let everybody in?
Yep.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Partner for Success. We're just going to pause for a moment or so and let everyone enter the Zoom, and then we will get started. Thank you so much for joining us. Great. Katie Jo, maybe if you want to let me give me a thumbs up when we kind of feel like we're not admitting people anymore. There's a lot of refreshing happening. So if you're just now joining us, welcome to our Northern Kentucky Workforce Investment Board Partner for Success Forum. We're just going to wait maybe one more minute or so and let everybody in. Thanks so much. Okay. For those of you that joined early, you're probably getting tired of me hearing this, but for those that just started, thanks for joining, and we will get started here momentarily. Okay, great. I got the thumbs up so we can get started. Good morning. My name is Tara Johnson-Nome, and I'm the director of the Northern Kentucky Workforce Investment Board. You have joined our quarterly Partner for Success Forum, and we are so happy to have you with us. This is something that has been going on for quite some time, way before I joined the WIB. We used to have these in person in our Covington Comprehensive Center, and have actually found quite a bit of success with going virtual with these. So happy to have you all with us. If you're new to Partner for Success, we host these forums to provide training and opportunities for dialogue amongst all of the Kentucky Career Center partners and all of our community partners. So if you're not already following us on Facebook, you should do that, and then you can find out about the next ones that are coming up. In case you don't know about us, the Northern Kentucky Workforce Investment Board, or WIB, as we like to be called, was created through Federal Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, or WIOA. And WIOA funding flows to our local counties, who select a fiscal agent to administer it on their behalf. So the Northern Kentucky Area Development District is that fiscal agent. And as staff, we support our 35-member Workforce Investment Board. The board is comprised of at least 51% business members at all times, as well as representatives from education, training, labor, economic development, and other workforce development organizations. The board sets funding, policy, and oversight of the Kentucky Career Center network in our 8-county region in order to connect employers and job seekers in pursuit of sustainable economic prosperity for all of us. And we select a subcontractor in order to provide direct services and to operate the Career Center on a day-to-day basis. Brighton Center has been selected for that task, and I'm very happy to see so many of our Brighton Center friends with us today. So hi to all of you, and hi to all of our partners. There's going to be a lot of different posts in the chat throughout this morning. So sometimes when someone says something, you'll notice in the chat a little link or some additional information. And so you might want to monitor the chat if you're familiar with how to do that. Convening partners is a really critical component of this work. And this morning's forum is a joint effort between the WIB Partner for Success series and our youth response team in the community. And so want to thank all of those of you that are here from the youth response team. Also, today's forum was brought about as a result of the WIB's participation as one of many partners in a grant that was received by St. Elizabeth from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration, or SAMHSA, for a project called Lift Up. We are so proud to be a part of Lift Up, along with St. Elizabeth, Life Learning Center, the Kentucky Career Center and Brighton Center, and the Journey Recovery Center. So thanks to St. Elizabeth for that, and thanks to SAMHSA, obviously. And we are really looking forward to this very important conversation. And so I'm so pleased to introduce you to our moderator, who is going to get this started. Dr. Vicki Burling is the director of the Insweiler Building Institute at the Building Industry Association of Northern Kentucky, where she administers an apprenticeship model facility that trains students in the skilled construction trades. Dr. Burling joined the Building Industry Association in 2018 after serving as the founding director of the Sullivan University Center for Learning, Northern Kentucky, for 3 years. Prior to founding at Sullivan, she served as the executive director of educational outreach at Northern Kentucky University for 11 years. And before NKU, she managed the TAP program for working adult students at Thomas More College, now university. She came to higher education in 1997 after a successful career in healthcare marketing. We are so grateful to have her as a member of the Northern Kentucky Workforce Investment Board and as chair of the Youth Response Team, which is a board subcommittee. Vicki, thank you so much for moderating today.
You're very welcome, Tara. Welcome, everybody. It's such a great crowd. See some faces and names that I know, and miss seeing you in person, but so glad that you've remained engaged with us, particularly the Youth Response Team. So I'm really excited about this topic. It's one that I'll tell you, I get asked a lot about substance abuse and hiring people who have had that disorder, who currently have that disorder. And honestly, it's hard in our industry to hire people who have had some struggles with substance abuse. So I know I've got my pen and paper ready to hear about some options that maybe we have not thought of in the past. So I don't want to take any more time, but get us going on the panel. So I'm going to read the bios of our 3 presenters, and then we'll get right into it. So the first one is Rosemary Gossett, and she directs all job placement, employer relation activities for the Life Learning Center. Responsible for connecting Life Learning Center candidates and members with employers in the Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati region, Rosemary prepares them to achieve their highest potential by helping them obtain a sustainable living wage position and a pathway to a career. When she's not working with candidates and members, Rosemary builds relationships with employer partners to help them build a talent pipeline and develop strategies for employee retention. She brings over 25 years of staffing experience from various leadership roles in office, industrial, IT, and medical industries. Jamie Johnson is the Vice President of Operations at Dorman Products, which is a leading supplier of automotive aftermarket products. He has 16 years of automotive aftermarket experience and 8 years of military experience in both the Marine Corps and the Air Force. His educational background is an MBA from the University of Phoenix, a BS in Management from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, with an AAS in Engineering Technology from the Community College of the Air Force. He's the founder of a nonprofit organization called Stand With Us, where he passionately pursues solutions to the many obstacles that He passionately pursues solutions to the many obstacles for individuals seeking recovery. Efforts have directly resulted in over 60 people returning to the workforce. Sorry I blotched that, Jamie, but that sounds like a really important organization, and thank you for your service as well. So, sorry. Lori, we all know Lori. Lori Zumbrot has been the HR director of the Boone County Fiscal Court since 2015. Prior to that, she was the HR director for the Northern Kentucky Area Development District. Her early career was with the Ohio Cabinet for Health and Human Services, serving in the Children's Protection Service as an intake investigator, and then she served as the regional coordinator of the Kentucky Child Care Assistance Program at NKWIB Workforce Development Department for over 10 years. She's an avid volunteer and has been on various boards throughout her career. She's currently the president of the Learning Groves Board. I didn't know that. And serves on the Regional Youth Leadership Board through the Chamber of Commerce and the Boone County Early Childhood Fund Board. So all those bios are posted in our chat links if you'd like to see them without the blotching, but also a more detailed description. So obviously we have a panel that is eminently qualified to lead us in this conversation. And we're going to start by letting them tell you a little bit more about their individual organizations. They've got 3 minutes and we are sticklers. And so we're going to start with Lori, then we're going to go Rosemary, and then Jamie. So it's on you now, Lori. Take it away.
Thank you, Vicki. As she said, I'm currently the HR director for the Boone County Fiscal Court. It is your local government here in Boone County, so I don't think I need to explain it too far, but it's everything from your dispatch to your animal shelter, your snow removal, which is really important the past few days. So that's what we kind of do. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. As the HR director, of course, recruitment and retention of employees is one of my primary goals here at the county, as with any employer. And so this particular topic is interesting to me because for various reasons, my social work background, came across a lot of people that just needed that help up. Also, just from the employer standpoint of really retaining and recruiting employees and making them the best they can be is really important. So that's where I come from on this topic.
Perfect. All right, Jamie, you're up.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I want to thank the Northern Kentucky Ad and WIB for putting this on, and thank you all for the opportunity to share some of my perspective. As Vicki said, I'm the VP of Ops over at Dorman Products. Many of you guys are probably customers of Dorman, whether you know it or not. If you've ever had your car in the shop, we're a top 5 supplier for all the big guys like O'Reilly and AutoZone Advance. Why am I here today? I'm really passionate about, combating the opioid epidemic in this country. And it hits really home for me. And I can tell you the way that I look at this epidemic is certainly evolved over the last 5 or 6 years. Long story short, I've got a personal story that involves my now daughter, who we adopted 6 years ago. And she's one of 7 siblings that were removed from her home because mom and dad struggle with a heroin addiction. And when you have to look a 4-year-old in the eye and you see the impact, the profound impact that that's had, it really forces one to open their eyes to this pandemic and the far-reaching impacts. Whether it's you standing in line behind someone at an emergency room, or whether you're an employer who has an employee who's a grandmother raising her grandchildren, or an individual struggling with addiction themselves. So this hits close to home for me, and I feel like the business community has a big part in the solution. So that's what I'd like to share with you this morning.
Perfect. All right, Rosemary, you're up.
Hi, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to meet many of you on this call this morning, and certainly a pleasure to be a part of this really wonderful panel with Jamie and Lori today, and Vicki. So I am responsible for job placement and employer relations at Life Learning Center. For those of you who do not know Life Learning Center, we are a nonprofit in Covington, Kentucky, and we offer a 12-week education and care continuum to really help at-risk individuals in our community live to their highest potential, but more importantly, to really equip them with all of the necessary resources to really envision a better life for themselves and for their families in the future. And where I personally come into this 12-week program is working with candidates from the beginning of the program, talking about what their potential career can look like. Many of them have struggled, and many of them may not know anymore what they have to offer an employer. So we spend significant time in that discovery process. But that is not the only part of the program. We really focus on what we call permanent transformational change. The first 3 weeks of the program are heavily focused on candidates self-reflecting, understanding where they came from, the struggles that they have gone through, and starting to put down some initial goals. And then we move into what we call our Working for a Better Life program, which is our signature component of the program, where they learn how to formulate their skill sets and really what they can offer an employer, because many of them have really forgotten that. And so this program is a reminder that they do have a lot to offer, and they learn how to formulate what that looks like and then commit it to paper on a resume. We also spend significant time doing interview preparation. And then a big portion of the program also focuses on what happens after employment. Because it's one thing to get a job, it's another thing to know what to do, what is right, to be on time, to be reliable. While they're going to the program, they also get to participate in our care continuum, which is basically all about barrier removal and providing them with anything that they need to be successful. So what that looks like at the beginning of the program could be assistance with getting a government ID to be able to present it for I-9 verification purposes. Later in the program, they may need assistance with transportation or bus passes. And then perhaps towards the end of the program, we really equip them with clothing from our 2,000 square foot clothing closet upstairs. Last year, Life Learning Center put 178 candidates in jobs, and we've enrolled 32 in post-secondary education. 81%, and that's a big statistic of our audience, was unemployed. 92% were below 100% of the federal poverty level. 93% were suffering from substance use disorder. And of that audience, 94% are dealing with a criminal background, which brings a whole additional set of challenges. We were able to remove 93% of all of the barriers to employment. And we are also glad to report that the average salary was about $15 per hour, which was an increase of $1 over last year, and about 10% of our audience is in the $16 to $18 range. So we believe that our program is working. Probably the biggest statistic that I can share is that our personal 3-year recidivism rate at Life Learning Center for graduates as a whole is 37%, which is nearly half of the national average. And we know that we cannot do this with all of the support from the community. We run a multidisciplinary team with Life Learning Center that consists of recovery centers, mental health providers, the judicial system, detention center, and probation and parole. And we meet every Friday with all of those entities to discuss every individual that comes through our program to ensure that we have the right plan and tools in place for them to maintain their sobriety. And we want to thank, of course, all of our community partners. We have many on site with us here and also many off site with us. And then the employers that we get to work with every day. We've been building relationships for over a decade, and there's no way that we could do what we do without, you know, the employers really giving the audience that is suffering from substance use a chance in the workplace. And I'm very passionate about what I do. I bring the staffing background and a process, you know, to the table here at Life Learning Center. But in the end, it is really about making an impact to someone's life. And we know that when you can be significantly busy during the day with something that means something to you and creates purpose in your life, that is a big step in maintaining their path to sobriety. So thank you, Vicki.
Thank you. And I just have to give a plug to the Life Learning Center. I see Denise Govan there. I know she's the original architect of the curriculum. I am one of the, it's adjunct instructors who teach a lot of the content. People who many are retired and are able to devote a tremendous amount of time to this. And many like me, you know, have to come and go depending on what work schedules look like. But if you have not been involved with the Life Learning Center, I would encourage anybody to get involved, even if you could be one of those employers who does the mock interviews. It's first of all, I've learned so much from the participants. It's a very humbling and rewarding experience to get to work with them. And I think, you know, you did a great job of kind of summarizing some of the value. So, you know, we call them talent with SUD. You know, I had to look that up, but it means substance use disorder. I mean, so, you know, we think of them as second chance workers and, you know, call them that. But I think it's important for us to remember that they have a medical diagnosis. It's the same as if they had diabetes. It's the same as if, you know, whatever your medical issues are that you deal with in other employees, this is a medical diagnosis. And so that's the starting point, I think, that we need to come from. So putting you right back on the spot, Rosemarie, but if you could just speak, you did a great job of sort of defining the process but could you tell us a little bit more about the value? I love that you said you meet on a weekly basis with so many different partners to really understand the depth of these folks. So tell us, what is the value that these people with substance use disorders can add to the workplace?
Absolutely. Vicki, and thank you for the work that you do, because you're absolutely right. In organizations like ours, we would not know what to do without the wonderful volunteers that constantly serve in a professional capacity with the Set Life Learning Center. So thank you very much. So yes, absolutely. I believe that individuals in recovery from substance use disorder bring a tremendous amount of value really to employers. And of course, I will not speak on this topic from the perspective of being an employer myself, but from really guiding them through the process and preparing them for re-entry in the workforce. Our program runs for 3 months, so it is almost like a college semester. So we get to know our candidates, really well, and we get to start identifying some of those transferable skill sets that they demonstrate through their work history, but also their attendance and their responsibility and accountability through the program, which is what they ultimately have to offer the employer. But here's just a few things that I see. So first and foremost, I find them to be hard workers, because oftentimes individuals that are suffering or are in recovery from substance use disorder, they may have had fewer opportunities, often due to a criminal background check. So they will typically work harder to keep their jobs. Secondly, they're also very resilient. Many of them have suffered tremendous losses. They may have lost kids or family members due to their disease, but they have come out positively on the other end. And some of that is achieved by participating in programs, but some of that may also just be achieved by participating in recovery meetings. So we know that they have learned resilience. They have also learned what accountability really looks like, setting goals and achieving goals, and being able to talk about, what specifically they achieved and they have to offer the employer. They are also very appreciative and loyal, typically with a huge appetite to grow. This audience, like I said, has been turned down so much. So when you do extend a job to them, you will find that they typically will have a personal feeling of not wanting to let you down. But what I've also seen is that when they can really connect with the core values of your company surrounding inclusion, one team achieving together, one team supporting each other, they will also feel supported and in turn will feel more loyal, which will then positively impact also the retention. I remember several months ago, I actually worked with a gentleman who had 3 felonies on his record, one of them very, very recent. And we were able to place him at a large logistics company. He stayed very connected to all of the goals that he had set in our program, and was also very open with his employer, what his story was all about, where he had struggled, and some of the strides that he had taken towards, sobriety and staying on his path of sobriety. And, he was promoted twice. And I just learned, last week that he's been put in a leadership role. So this is just an example of the very many success stories that we see with, individuals in recovery. What you will also see is that when they're on this side of sobriety, of course, fully in recovery, that they will be very serious about their recovery, because there's a lot of emotional things on the line for them. And I hear all the time from our candidates, I just want custody back of my kids. I want to put a smile on my mom's face. I want to be able to buy my first home and my first car. So all of these are really big motivators for them when they get a job, to really achieve their goals in the job and to do well by you and to hit their productivity goals. Then, especially for those of them who have been incarcerated or they have resided in sober living, they have also learned to follow structure and discipline, which is also a great attribute that they will bring to your company. They're also very willing and eager to help others. And no doubt, there may be individuals in your organization that are in recovery, but you're not aware of it. But they will start sharing their story, and they will start taking steps in helping others because they've been supported so much of themselves, especially having gone through a program like ours. And then, and you may giggle when I say that a little bit, but they're really not as bad as the stigma often tells us. They're not as dangerous, as you think they are. Many people that are serving in prison did something out of desperation, something really difficult. hit their lives and they ended up being caught, whereas many others may not be caught. And so you may really be surprised, to learn about their circumstances, that they may not be so far removed from some of the things that we all have gone through, in our lives. But then one thought, especially when you do take time to learn their story, to understand what their plan to recovery is and to maintain sobriety, they will feel really supported, and it will create trust and retention. Because a support system inside and outside of the company is very critical, because if not, they will go back to what we call old places, old things or old people, or old habits. Now, will it be perfect? It will not be perfect. There will still be turnover, because unfortunately people will still relapse. But there's a lot, and you will learn about that from my other panelists. There's a lot as an employer that you can do actually to see some of the signs. And I just wanted to end with this final thought on this topic, and this may be a soft value, but truthfully, you will be changing a life. Everybody really hopes for a normal life. We all do on this call as well. And two things are essential in life. One of them is a place to live, and also a job to pay bills. If you do not have a job, you do not have a support system, you may relapse and turn back into old habits. So being able to be in a job brings dignity and hope. And people that are stuck in transition or are working in recovery, we know that a job will make a big difference.
That's very well said. Thank you. Because you said so many things but that level of resiliency that you mentioned early on. I mean, that I have seen that a lot, and the stories that they tell, like, my goodness, the obstacle that these people have overcome to come out on this other side are really, really, they're heartwarming, truthfully. Jamie, and you guys have been hiring second chance workers, people with substance use disorders for a long time. Can you speak more about the benefits that you've seen from hiring these individuals?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I think I would start with just saying, since 2015, when we started down this road, I've come to recognize, whether you're struggling with SUD or not, at the end of the day, we're all people. We perform, we thrive in an environment where the individuals around us have confidence in us. As a coach of youth sports myself and a parent of athletes for 18 years, I came to realize that, when I'm coaching a team, the difference it makes when I have confidence in that player and they know I have confidence in them to take that shot, to stretch themselves, to try to be the best individual they can on that court or on that field, makes a profound difference, as opposed to coaches that I see that exercise a lack of confidence, that will pull you off the field after the first mistake that you made. That's the difference. And when I applied that thinking to my work here at Dorman Products and within the opioid epidemic, it's the realization that the human spirit has can overcome extraordinary feats. So I would say, when I give folks the second chance, everything that Rosemarie spoke about comes to fruition. Their willingness to contribute, that extra effort, that discretionary effort, it makes all of the difference. And they don't forget. They don't forget that we took a chance on them when others wouldn't. They don't forget that we believed in them, and they didn't forget. All of us know we're on the heels of an extraordinary year that was 2020. Thank goodness it's behind us. But, one of the things I reflect back on is just how amazing our workforce performed through that time. And we have had a strong presence of second chance employees. Now, I can't give you the number exactly of the second chance folks, because not all of them disclose it. And I think that that's very important for employers to realize. Having a no tolerance policy on drug addiction is a little bit of a facade. All right. It's something we tell ourselves But it's not a reality. 75% of individuals struggling with addiction are employed. They're here. They're in our workplaces. It's just whether or not we choose to recognize it, whether or not we choose to hit it head on. And I can tell you that our team, our second chance employees, they didn't forget. They didn't forget that we took that chance. And because of the extraordinary efforts of those folks and the rest of our team, we were able to produce amazing results. And I want to take this opportunity to say very clearly, very loudly, that taking this second chance does not mean at all that we are putting our team at risk, that we're going to be a less safe organization. In fact, quite to the contrary, the level of commitment of these folks, I think, raises the overall capability of the team. Let me give you a few numbers. So since our effort started in 2015 from a safety perspective, our recordable safety incidents are down 96% in the last 5 years. We certainly didn't get less safe. Year over year, just through 2020, we improved our recordable incident rate by 20%. We continue to build on those improvements. Our credits, the accuracy, the satisfaction of our customers with our work, our customer credits have reduced 30% year over year. Again, we continue to delight our customers at a higher level than the year before. And despite pouring money into COVID-related expenses, time off, extra sanitation and safety precautions, folks, we beat our original budget. Before we even knew COVID was going to be a thing, we beat our budget by double digits, despite all of those facts. Guys, that's the discretionary effort that I'm talking about. That's the extraordinary performance that a team can achieve when an organization pours its trust and faith in individuals, in the human spirit. So I believe this is a great investment. It's a great bet to take, and I would encourage employers to do that.
Wow, that was really exciting. I can't. The safety numbers are really impressive. I do think that's a topic that employers really need to understand. That maybe because you now have people who are grateful for the job, they're going to actually do a better job in some cases than they might have if they didn't feel such a commitment. So those are a very, very impressive number. So we've been talking about the recruitment of people with substance use disorders. I want to remind you that the chat is open. If you are an employer or an organization and you have some ideas to share, please feel free to jump them in there. If you'd like to have a moment to interject, we can make that happen as well. But I'm going to turn to Lori now. And Lori, with the county, you hire lots of different kinds of employees, lots of different types of jobs. So tell us a little bit about the flexibility that's necessary to facilitate this type of organization where you're transforming thinking about people with SUD.
Absolutely. So when we talked about this topic pre this conference, I think from my seat and as an HR director, it's a little different than Rosemary and Jamie's perspective. That flexibility, some positions we've talked about, there is no flexibility if you have a criminal record. I mean, our jail, our dispatch, it's a no-go. But then there are other situations and opportunities available. And so I think one of the old school HR things was to have, if you have a criminal record, this is how many years and we won't hire you. I think those are not appropriate. I think you have to judge each person in each position very case by case.